Are dead hangs dangerous on the shoulder socket? This was from Bodyweight Fitness, posted a day ago. Can dead hang be dangerous on the shoulder socket? And then they continue to talk about themselves, but you are not them, so I don't need to read the description. Yes, and yes, dead hang can be dangerous for our shoulder socket, but it just depends. Dead hang can also be so important. It can be so healthy for that. Like if we take a look at kids who are typically healthy and like, if we observe kids playing in a playground at least several years ago, before monkey bars were more commonly removed from parks. I don't know if it's like that where you are. I know that where I am in Toronto, there was a big thing where they removed monkey bars from a lot of parks because kids were hurting themselves, which is just so silly. Like, and by hurting themselves, I mean like they're hanging, and just like any kid, they would like fall or something, and they would, I don't know, they would like fall in a puddle and like scrape their shin or something. It's just like kids are gonna hurt themselves. But anyways, when you look at what kids do when they play, they run, they jump, they hang, they like push things down, they climb over things, they like pull things closer to them, they go off the monkey bars, and they just go. And if you look at how that relates to shoulder health, when you are a kid and you're hanging a lot, of course, if you have a lot of extra weight on you, that can definitely be a contraindication that maybe doing this isn't the best thing for you now, simply because extra weight. So yeah, that's a factor. If you feel like you're really overweight, then yeah, maybe there are more important things that you could be focusing on. But the same even goes for like walking. If you are very overweight, there are a lot of reasons why people would even recommend that you would do cardio exercises that are low impact, whether you go on a treadmill or most commonly that is excellent is swimming. So like it's not a one size fits all. It's not. Dead hang is always great. Dead hang is always bad. It obviously depends if your shoulder is ready for it. But anyways, the example I was trying to give was when kids are hanging. That's an example of your shoulder is kind of being pulled out of its socket, not literally, but it's like in that motion. And when you do that and you play and then you move on with your life, that is just a part of kids' active lives, and they grow up and then they go and do their own things. Like, that's not a dangerous thing for kids. And then when they pick things up, not necessarily in a deadlift position, but if you ask them to like pick up groceries or to pick up a chair, a heavy bag of some sort, that's kind of the shoulder being pulled in a different angle. And when you ask them to do several different things like that, when you get kids playing tug of rope, you could say, oh yeah, that's really bad for the shoulder. But if their shoulder is able to handle that, then that's just challenging themselves. And that's what we do as adults, right? We just challenge ourselves. But kids don't really think about it. Their bodies can typically handle a lot. A lot of young bodies are very resilient to a lot of things, so they end up just going through it. But for the general public, I'd say an easy way to determine if dead hangs are appropriate for you will be two. If you don't have large amounts of extra weight, like for example, if you're if you're 5'10" and your weight should be 180 pounds, but you have an extra 75 pounds on you, dead hang is probably not the most important thing on your list. Hanging is probably not going to be very high on your list of priorities of things to change if you want to change. But for someone who is closer to like an average weight, or if you're part of an athletic population, generally speaking, the prerequisite to dead hanging should be can you bring your shoulder into 180 degrees worth of shoulder flexion? Like, it's just so simple. If you want to hang, you should be able to put your arms in that position actively on your own. And if you can't, and you force yourself into it, once again, you may get stronger because you may force yourself. Like, you may have enough strength in your arms and in your lats to do that. But if you can't actively bring your shoulder into 180 degrees of flexion, that's going to change the angle of your scapula. It's going to compromise the stability, or at least, no, it's going to compromise the ability for your shoulder to stay in a healthy position when you do dead hang or pull up hanging type of variations. Like, once again, you may be able to push through it in the same way if somebody has bad ankles but they have exceptionally mobile hips. You can probably, your body can probably find a way to BS through that and find a way to squat. But if there's a limiting factor, if there's a joint that's really not in the greatest health, you're really just playing a juggling act. You're saying, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. And then it's fine, ... until it's not. So, generally speaking, if I could just give a one-sentence version, can dead hangs be dangerous? At the bare minimum, if we're not talking about if you're overweight or underweight, you should be able to bring your shoulder into 180 degrees worth of shoulder flexion. You should be able to clear your ears or get like pretty close to it, because that's the position that you're probably going to be in when you're hanging.